وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا.
Of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah. And Allah, remember, this is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's personal name. And this is a name by which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to himself in the Quran over and over and over again. And this is a name that I think everybody is familiar with, that God is Allah, or Allah is God. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, Allahu la ilaha illahu, Allah, there is no deity except Him. Meaning Allah is the one who is the only ilah, the only God. So there is no one worthy of worship except who? Except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So when it comes to the name of Allah, remember this is al-ismul jalala, meaning the grand name of Allah. It is the primary and the personal name of God. Meaning as Muslims, when we're referring to God, we use the name Allah. And it is a personal name of Allah, meaning it is a name that is exclusively for Him. So no one else can be Allah. Only Allah is Allah. This is a name that is unique to Him, the Exalted. And what does the name Allah mean? It is said that Allah literally is Al-Ilah, meaning the God, meaning the only being who is actually God. And that means that Allah is the only being who truly possesses the qualities of divinity and lordship. Meaning He is the only divine being. He is the only God. He is the only Lord. So this means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one who is worthy of worship. So when you're thinking about, the being that is worthy of worship, who is that? That is Allah. So Allah is the proper name of the only being that is worthy of worship. It is also said that the word alaha, it means to worship, right? Or to show dedication to. And alaha also is, the one who is the highest of the high. And ilah is the one in whom, the hearts find rest and sanctuary in. Meaning the one in whom, people find comfort in. So the entire creation seeks Him, depends on Him, and turns to Him. The hearts and the souls long for Him, and all show dedication to Him. So this is the meaning of the word Allah, that it is the proper name of the only being that is worthy of worship. This is Allah is the only being whom the hearts and souls long for, whom they are astonished and amazed by, and whom all show dedication to. Whether it is a creature that is living in the water, or it is a creature that is living on earth, as human beings, animals, birds, angels, jinn, meaning the entire creation shows dedication to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And yes, there are amongst the creation, for example, amongst human beings and the jinn, who refuse to worship Allah. But even among them, it's amazing how there comes a point when they do recognize and accept that Allah is the only one that they need. What happened to Fir'aun? Think about it. Fir'aun, his entire life, he rejected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So much so that he claimed to be God, right? And then what happened when he was about to drown? He said, I believe in the God of Musa, right? I believe in the God of Bani Israel. I believe in the same one. So the fact is that we are programmed to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is, the fitrah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us upon. Fitrat Allahi allati fatara an-nas alayha. That this is the nature that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created the people upon. That we have that innate realization that there is a greater being. We have that innate realization that we need to depend on a higher being, that we seek Him. So that being is who? That being is Allah and only Allah. Now also remember that the name Allah is the most powerful name, meaning it's the most powerful name of Allah the Exalted. We learn in the Quran, تَبَارَكَ اسْمُ رَبِّكَ, that the name of your Lord is blessed. It is full of barakah. It is full of blessing. And what is the barakah, the blessing of the name of Allah? You say Bismillah, right? You say Bismillah, I begin in the name of Allah. I take the name of Allah. And what happens? When you take that name, when slaughtering an animal, that animal is halal for you to eat. Right? And if the name of Allah is not mentioned at that time, then the meat of that animal is not halal for consumption. Look at the difference. And then we see that when you take the name of Allah, then taking the name of Allah becomes a barrier between you and shaitan. Right? This is a shield between you and what you fear, your hidden enemy. So for example, in Hadith, we learned that when a person takes the name of Allah, then the shaitan cannot see him. This is why we're told that when we're using the bathroom or when we're changing our clothes, then we should say Bismillah before undressing. Because Bismillah becomes a shield between you and shaitan, right? When you enter your house and you're closing your door, then at that time also say Bismillah, because then shaitan cannot enter your house. When you're eating your food, when you're drinking something, again say Bismillah, because then shaitan cannot have any share of that food and drink. So Bismillah is not just a source of blessing, it is also a means of protection. It is also a means of safety. So it is the most powerful name of Allah. And remember the meaning of the name Allah. It is the name of the being who is God, right? Who is the owner of all, the creator of all, the only divine being. So what does that mean? That means that if He alone is God, then He must be perfect. He must be knowledgeable, right? He must be all powerful. He must be able to do whatever that He wants. He must be above all. He must own everything. So basically, when you say Allah, you are calling upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by all of His names. By all of His names. Because only Allah can be who? As-Samir, Al-Basir, Al-Alim, Al-Qayyum, Al-Hayy, right? Al-Qadir. So this is why when you say Allahumma, O Allah, then this is no small thing. When you say Allahumma, O Allah, you're saying, O Allah, who is Al-Alim, who is Al-Rahim, who is Al-Qadir, who is Al-Qayyum, who is Al-Hayy. Yani it is the most powerful name. And this is why a lot of the scholars, they say that that the name Allah is in fact Ismullah al-A'zam. It is the greatest name of Allah by which when a person calls upon Allah, then the dua is answered. And then we see that this is the most blessed name, as we discussed earlier. It is also the easiest name. Because if you think about it, to say Allah, you just need to move your tongue slightly, right? You just need to use your throat a little bit to make the sound. And then Allah, to make the lam sound, you just need to move your tongue slightly. That's it. In fact, even, a child, a baby can say this name. And a lot of children, subhanAllah, there are people who will make sure that the first word that their children say is the word Allah, right? So it's the easiest name. No matter what language a person speaks, no matter what background they're from, whether they know Arabic or they don't know Arabic, saying the word Allah is easy upon the tongue. And we see that the name Allah is mentioned over 2,000 times in the Quran. To be precise, 2,724 times in the Quran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَلِلَّهِ الْأَسْمَاءُ الْحُسْنَى فَادْعُوهُ بِهَا. And to Allah belong the most beautiful, the most excellent names. So call upon Him by those names. Meaning it is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who has the most perfect names. So it is necessary that we know who our God is. It is necessary that we know who our Lord is, what His attributes are, what His perfection is, so that we can love Him, adore Him, fear Him, and worship Him.